Hello and welcome to Bleeding Tree Gaming. My name's Amy, aka Warpfiend, and today I am joined by...
I'm Luke, aka SirMime.
And today we are talking of the first week of faction focuses for Age of Sigmar 4.0. And yeah, it looks like we're going to be getting these at a fairly rapid clip now. Seems they've been increasing the speed from like the 3 articles we were getting at first.
Yeah, everyone's on tenterhooks now, aren't they? Whether the edition's going to drop before the end of June or...
Yeah. I reckon just before the end of June, probably. Yeah. Like mid to late June. But it could be July. It could be.
It was interesting because like when they did the little preview thing to say that they were doing the faction focuses coming out, they did show off like 4 images, and you know, at first it was kind of like, are these just 4 random army images they've shown? But that was like the week's ones that they've gone for.
Yep. So we've got a lot of rules today, and I'm going to have to turn over to Luke for most of those because I'm very tired and haven't managed to read them all. And let me tell you why I'm tired, because last night I got woken up in the middle of the night by this kind of banging, flapping sound. And it turned out a bird had got into my house, a blue tit, and it was very cute. But it just would not leave my flat at all. I was chasing it round. It was hilarious. Like, I felt like I was in a Looney Tunes cartoon. I was doing like dun, 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 creeping after it, and then like I jumped for it, and everything would just go flying everywhere. And then the bird, like, you know, those little tiny birds, they've just got that kind of way about them, and it was just giving me perfect comedic timing. Like, it just kind of like look at me quizzically with its head cocked to one side, and then
you
just
didn't like crash into a wall, have like a comical lump, and then loads of little cartoon birds swirling around.
almost it was everything but. So I spent like an hour last night chasing a bird around the house, which is why my excuse for not getting illness. But anyway, we've got a lot of rules to cover, so let's crack straight into it with Stormcast Eternals. So,
Stormcast, when they initially teased some of the rules, like Stormcast were the ones that we got as examples for certain battle formations and certain army rules. So a fair few of these ones we have seen before, but there are some little additions.
Okay, so we have the battle traits, and I think we saw these all before, didn't we? Yes.
Yeah, they gave the example that each army would have a number of battle traits, usually around 4, and Stormcast, they did show off all 4 of these for us before.
Yep, so we talked about these ones previously anyway. Formations then.
Yeah, battle formations, we've been shown 2 of them so far. I remember there was that interesting one where if you had another chamber next to a ruination chamber, you could get like a +1 to hit with them. We were kind of a bit iffy on that one.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
There was one with like the Dracolyphs, I think, as well, wasn't there? We were slightly more hyped on that one, I think.
I seem to remember. Yes.
But this one does sound pretty good. It's once per turn.
Ward save.
Yeah, a ward save, which going into the intro game and being shot at by Skaven's scary new cannon thing, and being shot at didn't have a ward save. It would, it would have been nice to have known that this was something that could have been put on that hero.
That's very thematic. It works with the trailer because you have that moment in the trailer where obviously the rattling guns firing at all the Stormcast, and it just kind of bounces off them fairly much.
But yeah, just there doesn't seem to be a range on it or anything. It's just pick a ruination chamber unit, 5 up ward for the rest of the turn.
Mm-hmm.
And you can do that in either hero phase by the looks of it as well.
Yep, that seems pretty solid.
Very nice, very reactive to make sure that the unit you think's going to get targeted at least has some kind of extra save to them. Now, this prayer here, like, this was used as an example again in the intro game, but I
Right.
wasn't quite told like the full effects of it. I think I rolled the d6 and got a 6 on it, so the guy just basically excitedly told me straight away, "Oh, pick a unit to get +1 attack on them." And stuff.
Ah, nice, nice.
But obviously with the prayers, you can store up your chanting points until you reach that 12, and then it has a much better effect by the looks of it once you hit that 12 for the chanting on it. If you just get it off naturally with the 6, you can pick 1 infantry unit with wholly within 12 of the caster to get +1 attack. But if you go 12, then everything wholly within 12 of the caster gets +1 attack.
Okay, so like if you kind of group your stuff around the caster, like kind of second turn or so, maybe. Yeah, you can get some good kind of combo going.
It could be really good. I mean, like, if this marries in as well with like there was a once per game ability to allow a unit to fight twice in the combat phase as well. So if you stack it up nicely with that, they're going to get even more attacks.
Nice.
And then
moving on to the units.
Yeah, there's a couple of nice choice unit profiles we got here. Krondis, I think he's gone up in wounds slightly. I think he was only about 18 before.
Yeah.
His Blazing Tempest weapon was like pretty much one of those ones where you rolled and like on a 1 it did nothing. I think it was like a 2 to 4 or something. It did D3 mortal wounds, and then a 5 and 6 it did D6 mortal wounds.
Okay, yes. So it's more of a straightforward weapon profile now.
Yeah, now he's just pretty much got a proper to hit to wound roll. He's got Rend 2 on it, so that's pretty nasty Rend on it anyway. But more importantly, if he actually does get it through, he's got the D3 plus 3 damage on it, which is a lot more reliable if it actually...
Yeah, a minimum of 4 damage there. You're not kind of left waiting on the dice.
I think like a lot of battle reports I've seen with people using Krondis that is kind of like almost memeable that they'd only ever get like 1 mortal wound off with the breath attack from it.
And the melee attacks look solid across the board.
Yeah,
got the anti-infantry on the Maw.
That -3 Rend on that with flat 4 damage as well. And if you can get him in range with that prayer that we were just saying about, he's going to be 5 and 7 attacks with those things.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm kind of surprised that the fire range weapon, going back to that, only has a single attack, because you'd think it'd be the kind of thing that would hit multiple, but I guess like they are trying to tone down shooting, so possibly not having like the kind of impact of like a heavy flamer in 40k was what they were going for.
Oh yeah. If you had like an auto hitting flamer type thing, that would be a bit crazy on it. But you can shoot in combat with it still, which they do seem to claim that a number of ranged weapons aren't going to have that. Interestingly, he seems to have lost like his kind of tail attack now, where he'd gain a number of attacks equal to the number of models wholly within 3 of him. But it does look like his actual attack profiles in general look slightly better than they were before.
Yeah. There's some interesting abilities there. I'm just reading them for the first time now.
I say he was +3 to cast, but he would degrade with that in his current profile, but
so now he's just
flat
+2
to casting roll. But his actual War Scroll spell has actually gone down from a 9 to an 8. So, I mean,
yes,
I don't know. It probably is going to get that off pretty much as much as he was getting a 9 to cast spell off at the minute. And he has got essentially what is the regular raw monstrous action at the moment.
Yes. So I don't think there's been confirmation. The basic monstrous actions aren't returning in the same way, but
I think they just said that every monster will have probably their own unique monstrous action in this edition. I think they said. And I think he hasn't got a ward. He didn't have a ward before. It is a bit. he has got means of getting to a 2-up save, but it's the only problem with the old dragons in Stormcast. Like once you actually punch through that armor, they haven't really got much of a defense afterwards. It's they mentioned Karazai underneath, and they're just basically teasing the fact that if he looks good in combat, imagine what Karazai is going to be like.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting because this is like, it's not what would have been the highest end profile in the current edition, but they have said things are getting like weaker across the board, and that is like a pretty much like near high end one.
That does look a fairly solid profile still.
Yeah,
like having some flat 4s, nice. But then talking about solid damage profiles, you go on to Yindrast.
Okay, here we go. Jesus.
I mean, she's lost a 4-up ward and gone to a 5-up ward, but she is on a 3-up armor save as well, so...
Yeah, they have her as like a dedicated anti-monster hunter, which I think is interesting with the +1 rend on her.
If you read her passive as well, though, she gets double the damage on both of those against monsters.
Ah, okay.
So, yeah, she's throwing out a spear that's -3 rend and 8 damage against a monster. That's you just don't want her anywhere near you if you have the monster keyword on you, I don't think.
Yeah, also that is like ranged and melee versions of the attack. Yes, so...
Interesting. God, I don't think she could use the spear in combat before. I think she only had like the blade of the high heavens in combat before. So she has gained some extra attacks by the looks of it.
And that looks like more for hitting your kind of infantry units. Just kind of a bunch of attacks to throw into them, basically. Even though it's still damage 3. Which,
I think she's gonna be good no matter what she goes into. I think, to be fair, it's. She's got the same thing as the prosecutor, so she's got a 3d6 charge.
Yep, and I see ignores negative modifiers for friendly Stormcast within 12 inches.
Yeah, she did have a much more powerful ability currently where she can actually return models to Stormcast units around her, and they can ignore bravery, but I say that does seem a bit it does seem like it's going to be very powerful in the new edition, that kind of ruling, so they've toned it down, I think, for her.
Yes, yeah.
We've got
so the Night
Arcanum, which this seems quite interesting because he seems to be a dedicated thing to try and take out manifestations.
Right, that's interesting.
He has a special anti-manifestation +1 rend on his attack profile, and he seems to have a 4-up ward against any mortal damage inflicted by any manifestations against him.
That is very interesting. It does make me wonder, like, it's kind of like almost like a demon hunter role. I wonder if manifestations will extend somehow to demon. I thought it'd be like summons would be different, but yeah, that would be an interesting touch.
Oh yeah, it could be interesting, like because we haven't particularly seen much in the way of any chaos rules yet for 4th. So although, like actual demons.
Although we will see later on in the video the Vermin Lord, which is of course a demon. Nothing in it there, so maybe not. I don't know.
I'll say it could be, it could not be.
So I mean, Endless Spell Hunter is good. I mean, if you're at a tournament, maybe you won't take him if you don't know your opponent's gonna have endless spells, but then 3 now, I guess. So
I mean, again,
maybe everyone's going to be using them.
If he's a fairly cheap wizard for a Stormcast, he might be worth taking along anyway.
Yeah. I mean, nothing saying not from the profile.
I think he's got like +1 to cast if he's bringing out summonable things, so it could be quite useful if you were taking an important endless spell or something you wanted with him. Or the Annihilators. Now, I love their little charge phase ability that they've got written down here. They are kind of the same in profile as what they are at the minute for the kind of save, their wounds, and their attack damage. They don't seem to have any kind of abilities on their weapons, though. But this charge ability thing seems quite interesting. Again, they look like thematically they're going to be in front of your, the meat of your army. They're going to be there as the shield wall in front of everything.
Yeah, so it sounds like if the more there are of them, basically, the more likely they are to strike last.
Yeah, so basically you can reinforce. You can only reinforce once in the new edition, so you can have 6 maximum in the unit.
Yes.
So potentially, if you wanted to reinforce some annihilators, you've got like 6 chances to roll a 6 for the strike last effect.
Wait, have I misunderstood that? Because it says pick an enemy unit, roll a dice for each model in this unit.
Yeah.
Sorry, I've misread that. So yeah.
That'd be great if it was like a horde charging at you.
Yes, I mean that's what I thought it was, kind of a horde control.
No.
Like crowd control.
They do have like they do have the like impact thing that they kind of had before. It does seem like it's toned down. They don't have a charge damage one anymore. It's just kind of like when they slam down from the heavens, they have the chance to do D3 mortal wounds to free.
They do the big like Marvel superhero pose that guy has. Hammers the ground.
But yeah, again, it's another solid looking profile, and with Stormcast being the only ones that can make use of their finest hour type thing and use it on any of their units in this edition, it could be fairly difficult to shift some annihilators. I don't know.
Yeah, that seems pretty solid. So, what else? Do we have any more interesting information?
There's
the spearhead stuff.
I'll say it's just about the spearhead thing. I was kind of more interested to read something about Yndrasta's spearhead, because they've only really mentioned like the fact that they kind of come on staggered throughout the battle, but they show off the Prosecutor's War Scroll, which again is fairly similar to what their actual main game War Scroll is.
Yes.
So they got nice D3 damage on their throw-in spears and a good couple of attacks with their melee version of it. Again, they've just got like a similar kind of ability to that Ruination Chamber thing where they can throw a 5-up ward onto a 1 unit. And I think the other thing in there is once per game, you can pick a unit to run and charge. That's Storm Charge one.
The Storm Charge one, yes.
Which, if you're using that on the Prosecutors, they're going to get anywhere on the board in a spearhead game.
Oh, absolutely, yes, definitely.
Run and charge with a 12-inch move and a 3d6 charge. Yeah, they'll get where they want to.
I don't think you even need to use this one, to be honest.
As it probably would be better on something like your Liberators or like the Heroes, but...
Well, that's interesting then. Is that the...
Yeah, that's everything on the Stormcast side of it.
Lovely. Well, let's move on to one that I did actually get around to reading before this, the Skaven one. And here we have the Gracia looking very cool.
I think it was me kind of like selling it a bit more to you that we'd already seen a fair few of those Stormcast rules, wasn't it? But,
yeah, I've had a hectic week. It's been manic.
I love some of this new artwork. Especially that one that we had on the little lore article as well, with the picks.
we will quickly discuss the lore article after this, but yeah, there's been some fantastic artwork coming out of it. I love seeing all these shots of Blight City and what's become of Akshi.
Any chance to see these models again?
Yes, yes.
In my memories.
Let's have a look. So these are the battle traits they had. The Lurking Vermintide one was basically the reserves one.
Yes.
So you can be in the tunnels below. I love that. That's the bit that's bolded. It's just an interesting
look like there's a lot of sneaky little tricks for the Skaven for kind of like deploying all the way around the battlefield.
Yeah. The Norholes we see are like the the woods spirit, the spirit woods. What are they called?
The Awakened
Wildwoods. Awakened Wildwoods. Yeah, that's the one.
So again, it's like you only need the one pack of gnaw holes. I think you can only ever have 3 gnaw holes currently, really, but it's basically you set one up on the board, and then as each battle round goes on, you can gradually just keep on placing them around the battlefield in strategic places where you'll want to pop up.
Yes. So they also have the too quick to hit it.
Yeah, they teased that one before, hadn't they? Just to say that they won't take any damage if they want to retreat from combat.
Yep, we saw that one. Then the Gnawhole ambush is the other part of the the whole Gnawholes and the reserve unit things.
And then always 3 close steps ahead sounds absolutely brilliant. It's only in the enemy hero phase that you can pick a non-monster Skaven unit that's not in combat, and they can move. And with the Vermin Lord Warpseer, he has a ability on him that actually adds an extra 2 inches of movement onto the unit that does that. Always
yes, you can do some really kind of tricksy maneuvering stuff with that.
Fairly, if you kind of know what the enemy's planning to do that turn, especially if it's like trying to get that battle tactic where they're in the middle of the map or whatever, you could just really like move some of your forces up to really make that hard for them.
Yeah, I am interested. Like, I really like all this kind of reactive movement and stuff in theory. I'm hoping it doesn't end up getting like too confusing on the table, but it seems to, like, from what we've played, it seemed to flow really well, that kind of out of phase movement.
What we got now? We got they show off a couple of the battle formations. Kind of seen the Clan Scryer one from I think it was actually in our test game, and then on the actual the broadcast one that they had, they were showing off the Clan Scryer one, but this is the Clan Moulder one here.
And this is just a very typical, like, classic Skaven one, where there's like always the chance that you could damage yourself more than the opponent, but you can get like +1 attack or ward 5+.
The 5-up ward would be nice. It'd be nicer if there was a more guaranteed way of it, but that's the Skaven way.
Yes, yeah. They've got to have some kind of nerfs in their buffs.
I think this one's actually kind of harder than the Scryer one as well, because I swear the Scryer one's only on a 1 that they take the damage from. This one seems like it's a 1 and a 2.
Yeah. Well, when you're injecting yourself with warpstone and stuff, you've got to expect a little bit of risk.
It shows off the warp lightning vortex, how you cast it and how you set it up, and it's very awkward little triangle way that you have to do it.
Yes. So you have to set up the first part within 18 inches, and the second and third parts exactly 7 inches from the first part and 7 inches from each other. So a lot of measuring there. I hope your geometry skills are brushed up in time.
If only there was some kind of template for it instead.
Yes, quite a big template, but a template, yes.
You get the war scroll for it underneath, and interestingly, it says it can't really do anything in the turn it's been set up on.
That was interesting, yeah.
But it does still mess with enemy units that are nearby to it, though.
Yes.
So you can subtract 2 from their run rolls and charge rolls while they're within 6 inches of it. And then if they pass through any part of it, they inflict D3 mortal damage on them.
So yeah, just obviously like a big obstacle on the table. Obviously it's not as small as like a spearhead table for your regular games, but still, like, it's kind of 7 inches across. You can pretty easily like block some key corridors, and block off your objectives and stuff with it.
Well, interestingly with it though, it's like, I mean, I've seen most of these manifestations don't really seem to have a great save on them. Mm-hmm. It's like 7 health between all 3 parts of it, because it says as soon as one part's destroyed, all of it goes.
Yes, so it just like lives and dies as a single thing, basically.
So that does actually sound like it could be fairly easy to just get rid of, really. I mean, it's only got a 6-up ward on it as well.
Yeah. 7 damage, but it will require like either dedicated.
Yeah, you've either got to fight that or fight Skaven that are coming at you as well.
Yes, or you go within range of it and risk all the penalties of that.
Interestingly, and very Unskaven-like of it, everything just seems to mention enemy units for it now.
Yes,
currently
so
it can damage your own models as much as it damages the enemy.
So I guess they've already taken steps to kind of like look at that in other ways, and maybe this one doesn't have to kill Skaven.
Now
it's like, oh, tickles.
Warp stuff.
Yes.
Oh, Shadow the Hornrat.
Oh, yes. Truly a great 90s RTS. Well, I say truly a great, the most unfair, like, difficult RTS ever made.
Oh, when we were young and we was like, oh, a fun Warhammer game for the PC.
You will learn how to suffer. Oh, dear. So, Screech Vermin King.
Yes, Screech looks absolutely fantastic.
Seems solid attack profile with his glaive.
So before he had to kind of go into a special stance to give himself a flat 3 damage attack on his glaive, whereas now that seems to be built in. And
2 hits on a 6. So.
Yeah, there's quite a lot of chances for that with 7 attacks. It's he looks like he could hold his own in combat quite well, to be fair. So what's he got now? He's got the dreaded 13th spell.
Yep, turning enemies into clan rats.
Yeah.
Reinforcing.
Currently, this one kind of like gives you a fresh unit of clan rats for any models you kill, whereas this one seems to replenish clan rats.
Yeah, that's a bit more fair, really. I mean, like, you're also, when you're creating fresh units, you're expecting people to have more models on hand as well, which is the thing, whereas replenish is just an easy way. You've already brought those models, you don't need to bring extra ones.
Yeah. He's got his own little rampage here. It only seems to affect infantry units, but again it allows them to not receive commands on a 3+.
And less control.
Yeah, losing a control score equal to the roll.
Yeah, and considering it's going to be 3, 4, 5, or 6, that's a not inconsiderable amount to lose.
It's pretty tasty, really. I mean, like we saw just on Yndrasa's profile, she does stop Stormcast having any negative modifiers to their control score.
Yep.
So that would be a good counter. I'm pretty sure there's going to be other things like that throughout the edition as well. And then
you also have this 13-headed one, which is like you can pick an effect to apply until the start of the next turn. Yeah. You can pick once per battle each effect. And
this one's definitely kind of like you're playing Screech with a selection of different clan things, really. Although when you look at Screech's profile and you realise he has all of the clan keywords in there.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay, so Screech literally gets to benefit from these himself every turn as well.
Yeah, so that's good, but if you're not using like multiple different branches of Skaven, basically, then you're not going to be getting the fullest benefit because you'll only be able to use, say, one. But I think most people are going to have like a Master Clan Wizard, probably. They'll probably have like some Molder like for the rat ogres. Did the rat ogres have the keyword? I can't
remember.
Yeah,
there's a clan molder in there. So yeah, basically the starter box alone, you're getting some clan scry, you're getting some clan molder. The Gracie is definitely going to have the master clan keyword in there. So you're already getting like a little mixed bag of different clans in there. It's
basically, if you're going for a uni list and you want to portray one clan, then Screech Vermin King isn't the one you're going to pick.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what like other Vermin Lords have. Like maybe some of the others will be a lot more dedicated to their particular clan.
Yep, and here's the rat ogres now, and you can see obviously Mulder keyword. And they have this cool little ability. Before we go on to the rest, I just really liked it, which is just like you can choose to inflict D3 mortal damage on the unit and just add 1 to the attack's characteristic for the rest of the turn, which just seems cool. Like, yeah, you can slowly kill yourself to get more power. It's like the Bane power, basically. I really like
terrible Tom Hardy impression.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking more of the like inflation porn style one from Batman and Robin or whatever it was.
Oh, dude.
It just kind of blows up like.
Oh god. Yeah, it's an interesting profile. It's like they don't seem to have like their exploding sixes or anything in their actual melee attack anymore.
Yeah, actually, I'd say like I really like the ranged attack is going to be pretty brutal. 2d6 hits, like hitting on 2s, only a 4 to wound, but they've got Ren 2 on them.
So you're going to get the hits through, and then it is just 50-50 on the wound roll. So hopefully between like the 3 of them, although I wonder only 1 in 3 of them can have the warp fire gun as well. So
right. So it is 1 in the sorry, I misread that.
I think with Skaven, especially when we get to the Storm Fiends as well. It's just like
there's going to be a lot of bullets flying. No, I like that. I mean, it's not super powerful, but like we've seen across the board, everything is like slightly toned down. I think.
I do wish there was a master molder in the box with them though, because especially seeing that one in the little preview game they did. Like, he seems like he's going to be really good. He basically lets a molder unit heal flat free at the end of every turn.
Yes.
Which, when there's so many chances they can hurt themselves, that'd be really nice. They've got the Warp Lightning Cannon. Now these seem very interesting now.
Now this is quite a good range. Again, you've got 2d6 attacks. Hitting on 4s, but then instead of wound, rend, and damage...
But, I mean, the hitting on 4s thing, I mean, if your clan's Scryer, you can get a... Oh, no, I think that's a +1 to wound. But like we saw, you can always put all-out attack on them. And as we saw on Screech's profile, if he's next to Scryer units, you can give them +1 to hit for a turn.
Yes.
So all of a sudden, this 2d6 cannon's now doing mortal damage on 3+.
Yep. And you make the hit roll, and it is just mortal damage for every attack.
It's absolutely crazy. And then, as always with Warp Lightning Cannons, there's a fun way to kill yourself in the process of doing it.
You can add a whole 6 to the attack's characteristics for the rest of the turn. But for every 1, you inflict D3 mortal damage on it.
Imagine if you actually managed to get off like a full 18 shots with that thing, though.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you kind of just want to suicide it, really, just to see what happens, just in this like kind of maniacal.
So they're kind of like priced as what they are nowadays. Like, I think everyone probably will give it a go just to try and kill a much higher point value unit than.
Yeah, it's going to be fun trying.
Yeah,
And, like, at least the D3 mortal wounds happen afterwards, so you still get to make your shots no matter what. Mhm.
Oh, what else have we got? There's the Norhole
Norholes.
profile, which the Norhole has. Oh yeah, again, it's got something if the enemy units try and cross over it, they can take mortal damage.
Yep, so volatile ground, yep.
You've got the movement phase shenanigans of being able to just like pick up Skaven unit that's within 6 of it and then move it across the battlefield to another Norhole.
Yes, and you can also
The command point one as well to bring back an infantry unit at half strength. That's very nice. Like,
so that's fun. Yeah,
so,
you can
like,
just
your rat
imagine.
ogres have got infantry on there, so you got like 2 rounds of rat ogres coming out. Storm fiends have got infantry as well, so
it seems very much that like Skaven's going to pay. You've got these big things that are like just constantly at risk of doing damage to themselves or putting out huge damage, and then you've got your infantry, which is actually very kind of maneuverable, and you can use all kinds of sneaky tricks to get around the battlefield and be where your opponent doesn't want you to be.
It definitely, I mean, like, it is kind of a lot of stuff that they have now, but with this added like command thing on there, it's definitely added to the whole thematic thing of just constant waves of rats just coming out. And
yeah, it just seems absolutely fantastic. You can just imagine them kind of scurrying around from everywhere. Very kind of flavorful rule writing.
It's going to be very interesting to see how Skaven play when we get our hands on like the full armies and everything for
Absolutely, yes. I can't wait for the codex.
Look at those.
Oh, the little rat man. So we have the spearhead from the launch box, which is the Northeast Claw Pack. And yep, as you can see, you're only using 20 out of the 40 clan rats, and you don't get the Jezzails.
Yeah, you don't have the Jezzails, but you do have the Warlock
Engineer.
Yeah. I had engineer in my head, but I was just like, oh, so you got a cool new name now. He's got a sniper rifle.
No. He's still an engineer despite being a sniper, yes.
The engineer is dead.
And you also don't get like the rattling cannon or whatever that one is, yeah. So yeah. Here's some of the
they don't have Norholes for spearhead, but they're saying like, don't worry, you can still kind of do kind of movement shenanigans and pop up where you want.
Yes. So you set up within 6 inches of a corner of a battlefield and 9 inches away from enemies, rather than where you know a hole is being placed. But it's the same basic thing, and like within 6 inches of a corner is basically like the same amount of movement as you get on a normal board or using your holes, really. Just because of the limited size.
I think the 9 inches away from enemy units is going to be more of the challenge.
Yes, definitely. It'll be hard to fit them on anywhere.
We get the Graces profile, which again, like all the profiles in Spearhead are just kind of like slightly watered down versions of the full game profiles.
Yep, I love they've kept the thematic kind of 13s everywhere, 13 inches instead of 12 inches.
Yeah, I think a lot of the designers have said, like, if ever there's a range for Skaven that would be 12 inches for any other army, just make it 13.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
I thought it's pretty good, though. I mean, you can pick any friendly unit wholly within 13 of him and add 3 to the target's control score.
Yep, just give them a bit of a boost when they're wavering. And then this one's just a very simple on a 6-up D3 mortal damage.
I mean, when you're going against Stormcast in your box, like just being able to get some wounds through their armor is just quite nice, isn't it?
Yes. So that's the Skaven one then. After this, I think it was Wednesday, we got this little
just get us with a little lore article just out of nowhere.
Yeah, and talking of incredible art, like look at this one, the Blight City just like bursting out of the Great Parch, the exact kind of moment that was portrayed.
What we saw in the
full
trailer, but like,
cinematic.
yeah, it just looks very, very lovely in its actual glorious artwork there.
Yeah, it tells you how basically like the Nor is the name of this new region where Blight City has just burst through reality into mainly Aqshy, but it seems like it's gone in infected all of the realms and tying them together. So
I love like the actual northwest area of that Nor actually does kind of look like a bit like a splattered rat. Really, it's like you've got like a little tail bit like on there.
I can see that like up that bit, and oh yeah, it's all very kind of like evoking that aesthetic.
But the interesting thing on this map is we have a little key.
Yes. Now
thing.
I don't have a zoom available, but if you
I was trying to zoom in on it earlier. It's really difficult to get that.
If you look very closely, it says Hashut Forge City. So, Chaos Dwarfs? Is this spoiling Chaos Dwarfs? I'd really like to.
Large hat.
I think kind of their appearance in Total War Warhammer has been like just a massive kind of boost to them. They're so good. They're so good. The big hats, they need to come back.
I need them. I need them back in my life.
Yeah. And here we have this like map of the mortal realms they showed, and it's a really interesting one. It's always nice seeing these kind of like depictions like this, and just showing how Skaven have kind of gnawed their way through all of them.
It's basically just a little lore article going on about how the Horn Rat's now officially a member of the Pantheon of Chaos Guards, which we get this gorgeous piece of artwork just slightly down here.
Yeah.
Oh my days! Like I had to share this like the second I saw it. I don't know. It's an absolutely beautiful image that. It's just setting up the story that Skaven are popping up everywhere. They're probably making just as many enemies with the other factions of Chaos as they are with everyone else at the minute. Yes, yeah.
So I can't find it scrolling through. There was a little bit about there's been the rumor of this being called the second claw of the Horned Rat or something like that. Oh, the enigmatic left claw. Yes. Which we've heard rumors about a unique vermin lord. So this could be hinting at that to come.
All will be revealed when we get the full-on release. Hopefully, well, at least teased later on in the year anyway.
Yep. Okay, so we've been going for a while and we've got 2 more to go. So let's zoom through. Gloomspite Gitz, another one I did not have a chance to read. So give me the lowdown. Gloomspite Gitz.
So basically the battle traits are just all about the moon again. It sounds very similar to what it is at the minute. Squigs, I don't know, Squigs don't, they seem like, I think the moon could make them run and charge currently, whereas now they just get to re-roll their randomized movement characteristic.
Okay.
Your regular little grots are getting extra control score when they're in the light of the bad moon. Spiders are being able to do their critical hits on a modified 5+ instead of 6+, and trolls have just basically got what they have at the minute, where they get +1 to their saves for being in the light of the moon.
Okay, yes.
The moon seems to move exactly the same as it does at the moment. I've seen a few people already going on about this, where it says declare.
Right.
So if it's an ability you can use, why would you ever move the moon when it's in the place that you want it to be? But then, I mean, it literally says there, you must use this ability at the start of the battle.
That seems pretty clear to me.
I mean,
it has to move.
If you're like trying to go around that to say that you can just like keep the moon where you want, that's you very heavily just going, oh, that's when you use it in the battle round, not that you have to use it in the battle round. I don't know. It'll probably get cleared up if people do try and bend the rules to their will.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty clear as it is, but yeah, there's some people always like to quibble on these things.
You got the battle formation, they tease the things with the squigs, so basically every time a friendly squig unit charges, add 1 to the attack's characteristic of its fang-filled gobs, massive fang-filled gobs, or huge fang-filled gobs. Man, that's a tongue twister.
Yes. Huge fang-filled gobs.
Now, I swear again at the minute, I think squigs just get like extra damage when they charge. Like they're
Right.
this kind of sub
Extra attacks, yeah, to more bitey.
More bitey. Yeah,
Always good.
tease of a spell, which, like, this sounds amazing. Basically, cast on a 7, and then until the start of your next turn, subtract 1 from hit rolls for attacks made by enemy units while they're wholly within 12 of the caster.
Yep. So that's a very kind of sneaky, thematic goblin one.
If there's a caster with a big base, then hopefully you can get a massive range of -1 to hit against all your grots from that.
Well, yes, yeah.
We've got old Scragrot's War Scroll.
Yep.
Interestingly, he hasn't lost his 4 at ward, but I think his save's gotten slightly worse. I think it's gone from a 5 to a 6+.
Yes, yeah, I believe that was a 5 before.
He doesn't seem to have any kind of like pluses to cast now. He can still choose to keep the moon in place for 1 turn, like once per game. He still has Fangs of the Bad Moon, but this has been heavily changed. Like this was like I think this is a spell that goes up on a 3+ currently.
Okay.
Because now you have to get a 7 at least to cast. It's still a really good spell though. It's pick a visible unit within 18 inches of this unit, 7+, roll a number of dice equal to the unmodified casting roll, so 7's your minimum amount for it now.
Yeah.
Each 3+ do a mortal damage.
So that's pretty good. You're looking at like a minimum of like probably average of like 5.
Yeah, so if you're getting the spell
wounds.
off on a 7, you're probably doing about 4 or 5 mortal damage, aren't you?
Yeah, but then if you look out on your casting roll, then you can really do some damage there.
And then, he's got this interesting reaction thing to the redeploy. So basically, if you roll a 1 to 3 on your redeploy roll, you can actually just go 4 instead.
That is interesting.
That's really good.
And it doesn't limit the amount of times you can do this, does it? As far as I'm aware, the grayed out thing doesn't mean that.
It's just like, I mean, obviously, I think you can only do the redeploy like once in the enemy movement phase.
Oh, of course.
Or at the end of the enemy movement phase, but
once, but yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's not like a once per battle thing or anything by the looks of it. It's just literally every time.
Every time you use your redeploy, and they're within 12 inches of Scragrot.
Is he? He's a 2-cast wizard still as well.
Yes.
Yeah, good old Scraggy. Is everyone's favourite, the Gobapalooza.
Yep, gotta love them. Some of the coolest models ever.
Where they start off with a really good ward of 4+, but then as the game goes on, their ward gets less and less.
Right. So that's just based on battle round.
Yes, yeah. I kind of like the fluff, just for the hallucinogenic focused brew.
I'm just reading that. So they start off like impervious to pain, then they're just like hyped up. They've had the mushrooms, and then they slowly start to sober up as the battle goes on.
Oh no, what are we doing? Where are we?
I'm going to be at work tomorrow.
Then they've got a ability in the hero phase, just in your hero phase. Roll on a 3+, pick one of the following effects. Pick a friendly Gloomspite Gitz unit within these units' combat range, so 3 inches. Add 1 to run rolls and charge rolls until the start of the next turn. Fairly solid. Pick a friendly Gloomspite Gitz unit within this unit's combat range. Add one to the rend characteristic of this unit's weapons until the start of your next turn.
Nice.
Tasty. And then the last one's pick an enemy unit within 12 of the unit, and until the next turn they can't use commands.
Very nice, very nice. And
so
there's no limits on these ones.
Fairly good choices. You'd probably use the first one maybe more on like turn 1, turn 2, just to get up the board.
Yes, but you've got that tactical like flexibility of being able to use any at any time.
Again, they're fairly solid. They don't seem to be quite as crazy as they are now, because I know like when the Gitz Codex came out, Gobbapalooza was a Codex battle battle tome.
Yes.
I know they were absolutely crazy and they had to be toned down loads, so I think they've definitely kind of pulled it back a little bit now.
It says Wizard 1, is that for the unit or the whole? They can only cast one spell as the unit?
I think it is like only one spell for the whole unit, and then obviously they hand out like the buff and everything.
They do have all these extra stuff obviously as well, yeah. That's interesting. And we have a Squidherd. Love these models.
Well, this one, I don't know. I kind of feel like the Squidherd's probably been nerfed quite a lot, because they are a very nasty unit currently.
Tend to be fairly cheap as well.
Yeah, I've seen lots and lots of Gloomspite Gitz with lots of Squidherds in, because I think they're all like 2 health currently, and they've all gone down to 1 health.
Okay.
Obviously, you don't have bravery in this edition, so you're not going to lose them quite so much as you do currently. I think the Fangfilled Gobs, I think they've definitely gone down from what they are currently.
Yeah, it's a bit harder to hit. They're still wounded on a 3-up, but it's makes the Squig's jaws a little less fearful.
They've still got the ability that when they die, they can essentially do mortal damage.
Yes.
And I think again that's harder. The
companion ability, that makes them immune to debuffs. Am I right?
Yes. Yeah. Because it said earlier on that like with the Squig battle formation, they'd get an extra attack when they charge on Fang-filled Gobs, didn't it? But,
yes.
So they can look like you get positive modifiers on companion attacks.
Ah, okay, interesting. I'd have to reread that rule now. I can't remember it off the top of my head.
Yeah. I think there was like a thing for the companion the other day that said something like it can't be like negative. It can't negatively affect the attack characteristic of it or something like that.
Yes, yeah, it was something along those lines.
Anyone
knows the exact words, let us know in the comments.
Oh yes, please. I know I've read through it a bunch of times, but my mind's spinning.
There's a lot to get through today, so you will excuse us for not being fully on board with everything.
And they still have the ability to bring back more Squigs at the start of every one of your hero phases. And again, if you roll ones, then the Squig is actually slain from trying to...
That is fun. I do like that, and presumably in this manner. But yeah, they look good.
The Loom Shrine? Yeah, it seems like it basically has what it has now. I think the fact that it's actually a command point to do the bringing back units is actually a bit more reliable.
Yeah, so
currently
it was on a roll before.
A 4-up or something to bring back half your unit. Whereas at least now, I mean, like, yeah, command points are scarce, but at least you know if you want to hang on to that command point, you can definitely bring back half a unit that's been lost.
Yep. that all seems solid. 14 health on it there.
Yeah, 14 health on a 4-up save. That's looking like one of the higher end kind of wounds and save characteristics on a terrain piece so far.
Yeah, certainly the ones we've seen so far. So, moving on to the spearhead stuff then.
Yeah, you got like a miniaturized version of the moon in this one, where, like, yeah, in our spearhead game where we were against Gitz, it was like they just basically choose whether it was their deployment half or our deployment half.
Yes.
Again, the stabbers unit get like +3 to the control score. The squig hoppers get to retreat without any kind of mortal damage penalty, and the Troggoths get +1 to their save rolls.
Very nice, very nice.
Interesting. It doesn't look like the Loon boss actually gets any benefit from being under the moon.
Now, as we can contest, these didn't actually fare too well against Slaves to Darkness, which you can see our previous video about. Where we,
although looking at the Rockgut Troggoth's war scroll here, it's like they probably could have done some damage if they got into it.
Yeah, I think it was very lucky that our mega buffed up Chaos Knights just attacked them straight away.
So they've gone up a single digit of health. Health now.
Yeah.
The boulder attack is no longer just kind of like a roll and do mortal damage. It is actually a fully fledged missile attack now.
I noticed we're seeing a lot of 10-inch, 12-inch range missile attacks.
Yeah. I think with the trolls it is like very low range on them anyway, but it definitely does seem like ranged weapons for things are like fairly low ranges now.
So like they struggle to hit what would have been like a low weapon skill, ballistic skill in previous systems.
But they wound really well,
really easily, which I like that kind of way of making it feel like this is a very big clumsy thing, but if it hits you, you're gonna die. You're gonna take some damage.
It goes in line with that little chart that they were doing the other day, wasn't it? For like baselines of all the different kind of creatures in the world, of what they wanted them to hit and what they wanted them to wound on. It's like they're slow, they're stupid and clumsy, but they're definitely strong enough to wound you if they actually get the accuracy on you.
Yes, and with the 5 health, the ward of 5 up.
And every start of turn, you heal D3 on them. Yeah,
they're going to be pretty survivable against most things if they don't instantly get 24 damage applied to the unit.
I mean, even if they'd been in the light of the moon, they'd have actually still had to save against those Chaos Knights. Looking at that, like.
Yeah. Well, moving on to the last faction, which was today's one, the Nighthaunt.
Spookies.
And this is another one I had a chance to read, and I was very interested. I do not know how Nighthaunt play in the current version. I have the vaguest idea, but everything here just seems to be making them very insubstantial. They're hard to hit. They can charge in combat.
The charging combat one seems absolutely crazy. I do love it though, because like very much like Lord of the Rings, Army of the Dead, just that kind of sweeping motion through everything. It gives me that vibe. The whole
I love the idea. They had that picture of them like swooping up in the air and charging down and stuff. I love the sound of that. So
basically, they've still got the ethereal that they've got now, so their saves can't be touched. There's no all-out defensing in Nighthaunt. What they have as their save characteristic is their characteristic all the time.
There's no positives either.
No. The reaction command whenever they're targeted for an attack is pretty much what it is now. You can give them a 5-up ward instead of their generalized 6-up ward that they all have.
Yes, and the one there, is that once per battle?
No, one command point.
Oh, that's one command point. Sorry, I'm flagging.
Oh yeah, is it? Damn you, bird!
But no, that's just a reaction one for.
Yeah. At any point that you're attacked.
And
then these
Aura of Dread.
the Aura of Dread is the Wave of Terror currently, but
right.
These different effects, the Shriek, the Stun, and the Petrify, currently they're based on what your charge roll actually is getting into the unit. If
right.
you I think it's like a 4 to a 7, you get the subtract 1 from hit rolls currently. Might be like an 8 to a 9 or something at the minute. You get Stun, and then Petrify is like your high-end one that you get the Strike Last ability. Whereas now it looks like they've changed it to you'll get these if you charge into someone, but you have to charge into them with specific types of Nighthaunt units to do it.
Yes. And it seems like you can apply all 3 of these every turn. So long as you've got the particular ones met. So obviously you subtract 1 from hit rolls you can technically do on any unit, but it must have more models in it than the target unit.
Yeah, so again, like that's going to be like your big kind of blocks of chain rasps and things going into people.
And you subtract 1 from save rolls on the war machines and cavalry.
So like the black coach.
On the enemy unit, sorry, yes.
Yeah. Things like the black coach and the hex wraiths going into things will do that for you, and then the last one is saved for hero models going in.
And you can give strike last to the enemy unit,
which very powerful, very powerful indeed.
Yep. So those all sound good. Very kind of spooky, very ghostly. I like the sound of them. The battle formations, the Deathstalkers ones.
It sounds really good.
You can use charge even after running or retreat.
Interestingly, there's no anti-slash so it is like a choice.
Yes. You can't retreat and then run and then charge. Can you retreat and run anyway? I thought like you could retreat and...
No, only certain things with certain rules. Nighthaunt currently can retreat and still charge.
Yes.
So yeah, this is the battle formation to essentially kind of keep that in play.
Yes.
And,
so again, just very thematic. They're charging, they're swooping, they're doing all kinds of crazy stuff.
Just angry, shrieking ghosts.
Yep. We have the Shade Mist, which is, again, a very similar kind of themed one. Subtract 1 from wound rolls for targeting them. It's on a 6-up, so a fairly easy one to do, just like a quick little buff, adding to the kind of intangibility, like, oh, can you hit them? No, I've gone away somewhere.
I can't remember Shade Mist at the minute, whether it's an aura or not, but... yeah, it's still good subtracting 1 from wound rolls, especially against something that can have a 5-up ward, has completely unrendable saves.
Now, Lady Alinda, this seems okay. I didn't think it was particularly anything special. Did you pick up on something that was great?
So, a horrifying visage. At the minute, that's basically, I think it's roll a 2+, and then whatever you roll is the damage that you do.
Yes.
But that's mortal as well, so...
Well, now it's auto wound and 2s and 2s, 3 rend and d6 damage.
It's fairly...
pretty solid.
I think they've probably done it this way, so it's like, it's not just another kind of line on the stat card for her.
Yes, and it hasn't got fire in combat, so it's you have to be out of combat to do.
She's not exactly like the fightiest character in the world.
Yes, you don't really want to get into combat. She is a wizard too, so that's going to be a main utility.
And she still keeps a 4-up ward as well, which is very nice.
Yes.
So that was a unrendable 4-up save and a 4-up ward on top of that. So if you roll fairly averagely, she should stick around for a while.
I think her biggest thematic move, and I don't know how this compares to the current one, is just like pick any number of friendly Nighthaunt units on the battlefield once per battle. For each one, you can return a number of slain models up to a combined health characteristic of up to D3 plus 3.
I know she does have something fairly similar to this at the minute, but I don't.
Yeah, I
don't think
remember.
it's
I
once
remember
per
there
battle.
was. Yeah, I remember there was some kind of ability, but this is just a nice, like, once per battle, she just goes, ah, and suddenly all the ghosts rise from the graves again. It's very.
It's going to be interesting with Nighthaunt to see what their recursion's like in this edition, because I'm playing against Nighthaunt when their battle tome came out. It was just like, I'm not doing anything to any of these units.
Yeah.
You'd kill one, it would just come back as well.
Exactly, yeah.
She's got a nice passive ability to subtract from the control skill. Again, like, we're seeing this, like, something to mess with people's control score, and again, like, units like Yindrasa have abilities to counteract that, to stop it from affecting things.
Yep, that's it. You want a unit kind of tying up the objective and her standing just the other side of it, so she can affect the enemy units in combat and probably stay out of combat herself.
Now, this spell sounds absolutely fantastic, Grief-Stricken. A 6+, pick a enemy unit within 18 inches, and then they ignore positive modifiers to hit rolls, wound rolls, and save rolls for the rest of the turn.
Yes.
So, no all-out
attack. That is better than I read the first time. I think I misread that before.
No all-out attack, no all-out defense. If you're Stormcast, I'm pretty sure that negates you actually having your finest hour on them as well.
Okay, you've turned me around on Lady Olinda. I can see the benefit of that. Yes, I think I struggled. Like I said, I was very tired, and it would, like, sometimes when you're reading through rules and you're tired, it's like you read it 8 times and you're like, I still don't understand what that says. Okay, so we have Reikenor the Grimhaler. I had to look up who this guy was. It's one of those guys on the horses. The horse
big old
guy.
scythe in the air. Well, quite a lot of them on the horses have big old scythes in the air, to be fair, though. But yes, he's a very anti-wizard type character normally. So
you got the +1 damage on the charge, you've got the crit auto wound.
It's interesting how our Nighthaunt's still keeping the auto wound across the board, because they do have that currently, that any 6s to hit, like, auto wound on things.
Yeah, this one, he gets the passive effect to add 1 to hit rolls and wound rolls for attacks made against a priest or a wizard, which is If
he's going in against a priest or a wizard, he's doing 2s and 2s and flat 3 damage on that Fell Reaper of his.
Now, this is one, the Corpse Candles is one that I really struggled with reading it the first time. So
so basically he can either hurt himself or he can hurt an enemy unit within 12 of him. If he hurts the enemy unit, he just gets +1 to his casting roll.
Right. And
if he hurts himself, he gets +1 to his casting roll, and he gets to become a wizard 2 instead of a wizard 1.
So get an extra spell every round. Yeah. So I think it was confusing me. Like I didn't know. There's a lot of the target, the enemy unit, and all that. But yes, that does make a lot more sense now.
I think at the moment he gets it where if he hurts himself, he gets something like +2 or 3 to his casting roll or something for like that hero phase.
Okay.
Which, it's alright. Casting other spells probably.
Yeah,
it's a bit better for him.
It's an interesting choice. You'll have to watch his health carefully.
He's only got a 6-up ward as well, so he's not reliably shrugging that off either.
With your 12-inch, you'll want to be kind of like charging him around the enemy lines to hit those wizards they're protecting at the back, I'm guessing.
The interesting thing as well is, like, when we've had the terrain previews, like, obviously anything with fly wasn't getting the advantages of things.
You don't get the advantages, but you can pass over things.
So it does look like most of the Nighthaunt aren't actually going to get like benefits of cover or anything still. I think a lot of people were concerned that Nighthaunt might, as an army, not be able to take advantage of terrain things.
I mean, I don't think they should be getting advantages from cover, given that they've got all the kind of insubstantial
things they can do to do -1 to hits and everything, and
they basically are in cover 24/7. They don't need protection from a building to do that.
His spell seems all right. He basically was it 7 to go off. I mean, it's fairly iffy on whether that would go off.
Yeah.
Plus the cast. You do D3 mortal damage, and then if you slay any models, you do an additional D3 mortal damage to the unit.
It's good. It would be nice if it changed more than once, but you could see it getting kind of ridiculous. But it would be like,
I do notice a lot of the spells now do seem to be very toned down to just being like D3 mortals.
Yes, I think they've purposely kept everything because like,
which after we've just come out of a season where you can roll 46 mortal wounds at people, I think people have had enough of Magic doing that.
Yeah. Maybe it'd be nice if it kind of like jumped from model to model, and it would be great against larger units to kind of give him some defense, because if he's in combat with a larger unit, he's almost certainly going to die straight away.
Oh yeah, the amount of attacks. There's only so many 4-ups you can roll, isn't there?
Yes, yeah. So we have the Dreadblade Harrows. And now I like that these are now actually in units of 2, because they're sold in packs of 2, but originally they were like 2 separate characters.
It does seem to be GW's thing nowadays, isn't it? Like, what you buy in the box is what you need.
Low health, just like a 6-up ward and a 4-up save.
They seem alright. They give buffs to the control score of your Nighthaunt units if they charge.
Yeah.
Which again, oh no, they're not actually characters. They're not heroes at all to do the strike last ability.
No, they don't have that now, unfortunately.
They are cavalry, so they'll be able to dish out that -1 to save.
And they do have like a nice little kind of redeploy thing. Teleport, yes. So yeah, it doesn't seem like the most deadly. Like they're going to go down pretty quickly, but the nice little kind of buff. It might be handy to keep one like behind your big units.
If they're fairly cheap for the 2 of them, I can see a lot of point in bringing them. They sound really useful.
They can really help you gain those victory points.
And Alinda can definitely bring one of them back from the dead as well once per game.
Only 3 health.
The Banshees look like they've had a really good glow up, really.
Oh yeah, they're looking good. Again, fairly weak if it wasn't for all the like intangible abilities, which are going to help them out again. But reasonable attack output.
They've gone up a wound each as well, which is really nice.
Yep, and a free unbind.
Yeah, a free unbind that can hurt the caster as well.
Yes, that inflicts D3 mortal damage on an unbind. So that's another really kind of like handy anti-wizard thing, and I think like they'd work really well kind of in combination with Reikenor the Grimhailer. That guy.
It just seems like a really nice like collection. I mean, obviously this is them cherry picking war scrolls to show us.
Yes.
But like, yeah, they definitely all seem like you can see a use for each one of these in a Nighthaunt army.
Definitely. So far. I love the idea of just having tools that are designed for a purpose, that are in your toolkit, that you can build your army with to build up synergies. That's the good kind of stuff.
Obviously, if you put these in your list and you're going up against Khorne, then it's just like, oh dear, what have I wasted my points on it?
But then again, you'd probably want to use Reikenor again for Khorne, because they're probably going to be using loads of priests.
Oh yeah.
Oh dear. Well, there's also, of course, the Spearhead rules.
Just a mini version of those charging abilities we saw earlier.
Yep, so you can just pick a unit that had a charge roll of 10 up. So then you can give the strike glass to it. And this isn't limited to heroes, unlike the other one.
Yeah. That's interesting, though, because I wonder if that's like part of the Wave of Terror rule, or if that is solely the Wave of Terror rule for Spearhead for the Nighthaunt.
Yeah, it's interesting. Their version of the ethereal one is that just they ignore all modifiers to the save rolls just across the board. And the chain rasps have the reinforcements keyword. And then you have the Knight of Shrouds here they show. And
interesting little profile on him.
Yep, like a small little hero. Five health one now, I believe. Was he 7 wounds before, I think? That's one of the random bits of...
I'll say 5 does seem a little low for him, but I can't quite put my finger on what it actually is.
I felt like he was a 7 wound hero, but maybe I'm wrong.
The scope rate here is not a command ability in the Spearhead box. It's just pick a Nighthaunt unit wholly within 9 of him, and they get the 5-up ward.
Yes, so you need the Knight of Shrouds then to activate. Well, you will have the Knight of Shrouds because it's Spearhead mode. But yeah, it's nice kind of moving that so it's not like you've got a bunch of army rolls you have to remember. You've got your 2 simple army rolls, and this is a command.
Yeah.
So you can see why they've done it. And he seems like he's going to be pretty solid in Spearhead.
Again, like he's hitting on 4s, but he's auto wounding on 6s as well with his 5 attacks. So it looks all right.
Yep.
I say Nighthaunt's looking very interesting.
Yeah. It's been another week of rules reveals. We've gone through there. We're looking forward to 4 more next week.
Well, we know we're getting Cities of Sigmar, I think, as the
Cities
first
is the next one, yes.
Next week.
Next week. Let's hope we don't have to wait that long. So, yeah, we'll be back next week to cover all that, along with any other news that comes up. We will be getting some more painting content soon, so stay tuned for that. And don't forget to like and subscribe, and we will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.
Bye.